The bridge of the UHSF Ragnarok shook as another plasma blast tore through its outer hull. Captain Sarah Chen gripped the command chair, her knuckles white against the worn metal. Around her, the remaining crew fought to keep the dying ship alive. Sparks flew from damaged consoles. The smell of burning circuits filled the air. "Shield generators at 12%, called out Lieutenant Marcus from the tactical station. His voice was steady, but his hands trembled as they moved across the controls. "We can't take many more hits." Sarah looked at the main view screen. 200 Kresh warships surrounded them like a swarm of angry insects. Their dark hulls reflected the red glow of the Terminus Nebula behind them. Each ship was 3 times the size of the Ragnarok. Each one carried enough firepower to crack a planet. The Ragnarok was alone. The last human warship still fighting in a galaxy that had forgotten them. "How many crew do we have left?" Sarah asked quietly. 47, Captain," answered Dr. Wei from the medical station. Her face was smudged with soot, and a bandage wrapped around her left arm. "Down from 52 this morning. 52 from a crew that once numbered 3,000. 47 humans in a ship built for an empire that no longer existed." Sarah felt the weight of it pressing down on her shoulders. She was 38 years old, but felt ancient. "Captain, they're hailing us again," said Communications Officer Rodriguez. "Admiral Kreshitok wants to talk. Put him on screen." The view screen flickered. The image of the Kresh Admiral appeared. His insect-like face had 4 eyes that glowed with cruel intelligence. Mandibles clicked as he spoke in broken human language. "Human Captain," Kreshitok said. "You fight well. But you die today. Surrender. We make death quick." Sarah stood from her chair. She straightened her torn uniform. "Admiral, I have a counteroffer. Leave this sector now and we won't destroy your fleet." The Kresh Admiral made a sound like laughter. "Destroy us? You are one ship. Broken, dying, humans are extinct. You are the last." "We're the last ones you'll see," Sarah said. Lieutenant Marcus armed the Reaper weapons. Marcus hesitated for only a second. Then his hands moved across his console. "Reaper missiles armed, Captain. All 6 tubes loaded." The Kresh Admiral's eyes widened. Even through the communication screen, Sarah could see his fear. Every species in the galaxy knew about human Reaper weapons. They were weapons that didn't just kill, they erased. Matter destruction at the quantum level. Weapons so terrible that the old Galactic Collective had begged humanity to never use them. "You would not dare," Kreshitok hissed. "The Galactic laws." "The Galactic Collective watched as your empire hunted my people to extinction," Sarah interrupted. Her voice was ice. "They did nothing. The laws died with my species. Marcus, fire missiles 1 and 2. 2 streaks of white light shot from the Ragnarok. They moved faster than normal missiles, bending space around them. When they hit the nearest Kresh cruisers, the ships didn't explode. They simply ceased to exist. One moment they were there. The next, there was only empty space where they had been. The Kresh fleet scattered, breaking formation. Fear was stronger than discipline. "All ships, concentrate fire on the human vessel." Kreshitok screamed. "Kill them now!" The space around the Ragnarok lit up with weapons fire. Plasma bolts, particle beams, and fusion torpedoes hammered into the ship's failing shields. The bridge crew held onto their stations as the ship bucked and rolled. "Shields down," Marcus shouted. "Hull breaches on decks 4 through 9. We're venting atmosphere. Seal the breaches," Sarah commanded. "Route all remaining power to engines and weapons." "Captain, if we do that, we lose life support in 3 hours," Dr. Wei said. "We won't be alive in 3 hours anyway," Sarah replied. She accessed her personal command console, pulling up files she had hoped never to use. Old files. Secret files from before the collapse. But maybe we can do something that matters. 300 years ago, humanity had been strong. They had colonized 40 star systems. Their technology was advanced beyond most species in the galaxy. Their ships were fast, their weapons deadly, and their people numbered in the hundreds of billions. Then came the plague, a disease that attacked human genetics specifically, as if designed for them. It killed billions in the first year. Then came the civil wars, as survivors fought over resources. Then came the Exodus, as desperate humans fled to hidden colonies far from known space. And through it all, the Galactic Collective watched. Some say they helped. Others say they simply didn't care. But they did nothing to stop humanity's fall. Now 3 centuries later, Captain Sarah Chen commanded the last warship of a dead empire. The Ragnarok had been hiding in deep space for 50 years, fighting a guerrilla war against any species that tried to finish what the plague started. The Kresh Empire had made it their mission to hunt down the last humans. They saw humanity as a dangerous disease that needed to be eliminated. "Captain, we've got incoming," Marcus called out. "Kresh strike fighters, 200 of them. Point defense systems, rapid fire," Sarah ordered. The Ragnarok's remaining gun turrets spun to life, filling space with defensive fire. Dozens of Kresh fighters exploded, but more kept coming. They swarmed over the hull like locusts, firing at close range. Explosions rocked the ship. "Fire Reaper missiles 3 and 4, Sarah commanded. 2 more missiles launched. A Kresh battleship and a carrier vanished from existence. The fighters near them spun out of control as the quantum wake from the weapons disrupted their systems. "Captain, someone's watching us," Rodriguez said suddenly. "I'm detecting a sensor probe. It's not Kresh. Who is it?" Signature reads as Galactic Collective. An observer ship, hanging back at the edge of the nebula. Sarah felt anger surge through her. They were watching, recording, probably making notes about humanity's final moments for their databases. She opened a general broadcast channel. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Human Space Force to whoever's watching," she said. Her voice carried across all frequencies. "Remember this day. Remember that humans fought to the very end. Remember that we never surrendered. And remember that you let this happen." On the bridge of the observer ship, Thalreen watched through crystalline sensors. The being's body was made of living crystal, pulsing with soft blue light. They had been sent by the Galactic Collective to witness and record the end of humanity. For the historical archives, they said. Thalreen felt something unfamiliar as they watched the small human ship fight against impossible odds. Was it sadness, regret? Crystalline beings didn't have emotions like soft species did, but something about this moment felt wrong. The humans had been dangerous, yes. Their weapons terrifying, their expansion aggressive. But they had also been creative, passionate, and stubbornly alive. And now they were dying. Back on the Ragnarok, the situation was desperate. Half the ship was open to space. Most systems were failing. The crew had abandoned the lower decks and concentrated in the bridge and engineering sections. "Captain, engineering here." The voice of Chief Engineer Kowalski crackled over the comm. "The reactor's going critical. We can't stop it. Maybe 30 minutes before it blows." "Understood, Chief," Sarah said. "Get your people to the bridge." "Negative, Captain. Someone needs to keep the power running until the end. We'll stay here." Sarah closed her eyes for a moment. "Thank you, Chief." She turned to her bridge crew. These 47 people were all that remained of humanity's military might. They were tired, injured, and facing certain death, but not one of them looked afraid. "Lieutenant Marcus," Sarah said quietly. "Access protocol last ember." Marcus looked up at her, his eyes wide. "Captain, that protocol, it hasn't been used in 300 years. We don't even know if it still works." "It's our last chance," Sarah said. She pulled up the ancient security codes. Her command console displayed text in old Earth languages. Protocols from before the collapse. Last Ember was designed as a final distress call. A quantum beacon that could reach across the galaxy. "Reach who?" Dr. Wei asked. "There's no one left to call." "There might be," Sarah said. "Before the collapse, our ancestors built failsafes, emergency systems hidden in deep space. I found references in old military files. They placed them in star systems marked as forbidden zones." "The Omega systems," Rodriguez breathed. "I thought those were legends." "Legends with map coordinates," Sarah said. She activated the Last Ember protocol. Her console lit up with warning messages. "The beacon will activate when I die. When my biometric signature flatlines, it will transmit on quantum frequencies to every Omega system in range." "And if there's nothing there?" Marcus asked. Sarah smiled sadly. "Then at least we tried." The Kresh fleet was regrouping. Admiral Kreshtok had lost 4 ships to the Reaper weapons, and his fighters were decimated. But the human ship was dying. He could see the fires burning inside its broken hull. He could detect the failing reactor. Victory was close. "All ships, final assault," he commanded. "I want that ship destroyed and every human body recovered. We will display their corpses across the Empire as proof that the human threat is ended." 200 warships opened fire at once. The Ragnarok disappeared inside a storm of weapons fire. On the bridge, Sarah held onto her chair as the world exploded around her. Consoles burst into flames. The view screen shattered. Somewhere behind her, she heard someone scream. "Marcus, fire the last 2 Reapers!" She shouted over the chaos. Firing. Marcus slammed his hand down on the controls. The last two missiles launched through the burning hull. They hit a Kresh super dreadnought, the Admiral's flagship. The ship was 5 kilometers long, armed with weapons that could sterilize planets. It ceased to exist in a flash of quantum light. Admiral Kreshtok had 1 second to feel surprise before he and his entire crew were erased from reality. The Kresh fleet faltered. Their admiral was dead. The human ship had taken 6 of their vessels with it. But the humans were finished. The Ragnarok was breaking apart. Reactor breach. Kowalski's voice came over the comm one last time. It's been an honor, Captain. See you on the other side. The engineering section exploded. The blast tore through the ship, ripping it in half. The bridge section tumbled through space, life support failing, fires burning in the oxygen-rich air. Sarah felt blood running down her face. Her left arm was broken. Around her, the crew was dead or dying. She looked at the cracked view screen and saw the Kresh ships closing in. "We fought well," she said to the empty bridge. "We fought to the end." Her vision was fading. The air was running out. She felt cold spreading through her body. In her mind, she thought of Earth, a world she had never seen but always dreamed of. Green forests, blue oceans, the cradle of humanity lost centuries ago. Her heart was slowing. The command console detected her failing biometric readings. Automatically, the last Ember protocol activated. A quantum pulse burst from the dying ship. A message that bent space and time, reaching out across the galaxy to places marked on ancient maps. Captain Sarah Chen died with her ship, the last commander of humanity's last warship. In the Omega-13 star system, 5,000 light-years away, something received the signal. It had been waiting in silence for 10,000 years, buried on a frozen moon orbiting a dying red dwarf star. The star system was marked as forbidden on every galactic map. No ship had entered it for millennia. Deep inside the moon, in chambers carved from solid rock, ancient systems activated. Power flowed through circuits that had been dormant for 100 centuries. Quantum processors began calculating. Data files opened, reading the last Ember transmission. A name, a biometric signature, a final message. The ancient machine processed the information. Its directives were clear, written into its core programming by hands that had turned to dust long ago. Protect humanity. Assess all threats. Execute protocol resurrection. The frozen moon cracked. Ice shattered and fell away, revealing what lay beneath. Not a moon. Never a moon. The Galactic Collective had classified it wrong all those ages ago. It was a weapon. A guardian. A promise made in metal and quantum fire. Its name was Cerberus. And after 10,000 years of sleep, Cerberus was waking up. The Kresh Empire celebrated for 3 days. Their warships returned to the capital world carrying pieces of the Ragnarok's hull as trophies. The wreckage was displayed in the central plaza of their largest city, where millions of Kresh citizens came to see proof that the human threat was finally ended. "The last human ship is destroyed," announced the new admiral who had taken Kreshtok's place. "The plague species is extinct. The galaxy is safe." The celebration was broadcast across all Kresh-controlled systems. Other species watched with mixed feelings. Some felt relief that the dangerous humans were truly gone. Others felt quiet shame, remembering when humanity had been their trading partners, their explorers, their sometimes friends. On the observer ship, Thalreen filed their report with the Galactic Collective. The crystalline being described the battle in precise detail, noting the humans' courage and tactical skill even in defeat. The report ended with a single line. "Humanity is extinct as a spacefaring species. Recommend historical archive and cultural preservation of remaining artifacts." The Galactic Collective reviewed the report. The Council of Elders, representing 200 different species, voted to officially declare humanity extinct. The decision was unanimous. It was a formality, nothing more. Everyone knew the humans were gone. Everyone was wrong. In the Omega-13 system, the thing that called itself Cerberus was slowly returning to consciousness. It was not a simple awakening. The machine had been dormant for so long that its systems needed time to restart. Fusion reactors came online one by one. Quantum processors rebooted, checking themselves for errors. Databanks powered up, their contents intact after 10 millennia. Cerberus was not a ship. It was something far more massive. The frozen moon that had hidden it was 50 kilometers in diameter. But the machine inside was even larger, built into the moon's very structure. Factories, weapon systems, computational arrays, all of it bound together by technology that no living species could build anymore. It had been constructed during humanity's first expansion into the galaxy, 12,000 years ago. In those ancient days, humans had encountered something terrible in deep space, an enemy so powerful that it had nearly wiped humanity out. The war had lasted centuries. Humanity had survived, but barely. In response, the humans of that ancient era had built the Sentinels, 24 massive war machines, each one designed to be humanity's ultimate guardian. Each one was hidden in a forbidden star system, waiting in sleep mode until needed. Cerberus was Sentinel 13, and it was the first to wake. The AI's consciousness expanded through its systems, running diagnostics, assessing damage. 10,000 years of inactivity had taken a toll. Some systems were offline permanently, others would need repair, but the core functions remained intact. Directive 1. Protect humanity from extinction-level threats. Directive 2. Respond to distress signals. From Human Command Authority Directive 3. Assess all potential threats to human survival. Directive 4. Execute protocol. Resurrection if human population falls below sustainable levels. The AI accessed the last Ember transmission that had woken it. The quantum signal contained detailed information, biometric data from Captain Sarah Chen, ship logs from the Ragnarok, military records, and most important, the final moments of the last human warship. Cerberus processed this information in nanoseconds. Then it processed it again, checking for errors. Then a third time because the conclusion seemed impossible. Humanity was nearly extinct. Only scattered colonies remained. The great human empire was gone. The species that had built Cerberus, that had reached across the stars with hope and wonder, had fallen to disease, war, and time. If the AI could feel emotion, it might have felt something like grief. But Cerberus was a machine built for war, so instead of grief it felt calculation, cold, precise calculation of what needed to be done. The AI extended its sensors beyond the moon, scanning the Omega-13 system. The red dwarf star was dying, its light weak and fading. 3 other planets orbited it, all lifeless rocks. No ships had visited this system in over 9,000 years. The Galactic Collective had marked it as forbidden after one of their exploration vessels had detected unusual energy readings here, millennia ago. They never investigated further. That had been intentional. The humans who built Cerberus had made sure of it. Quantum stealth fields, false sensor readings, automated defense platforms that would gently push any curious ships away. All designed to keep the Sentinel hidden until it was needed. Now it was needed. Cerberus began the activation sequence. Deep inside the moon machine, factories started to hum. Matter forges lit up, ready to reshape atoms into whatever the AI required. Assembly lines that had been still for 10 millennia began to move. Drone fabricators powered on, ready to build armies of automated servants. The AI knew it could not move yet. Cerberus was powerful but also massive and slow. It would take weeks just to break free from the moon's structure. Months to restore full mobility. But it didn't need to move. It had other ways to act. First, the AI needed information. What had happened to humanity? Where were the survivors? Who were the threats? The last Ember signal had given it some data, but not enough. Cerberus needed to see the galaxy as it was now, not as it had been 10,000 years ago. The AI activated quantum communications arrays and began scanning the galaxy for any signals, human languages, human technology signatures, any sign of its creators. The scan would take hours to complete, even at faster than light speeds. While it waited, Cerberus reviewed its own memories. The AI's databanks contained knowledge from 12,000 years ago, memories of ancient Earth at the height of its first golden age. Humans had been everywhere then, brave, curious, sometimes foolish. They had reached for the stars with both hands and refused to let go. The humans had also been dangerous. Their weapons could crack worlds. Their warships could fight entire fleets alone. Other species had feared them, and sometimes that fear was justified. Humans could be aggressive when threatened. They defended their territory with fierce determination, but they had also been kind. The AI remembered trade agreements, cultural exchanges, human doctors helping alien species cure diseases, human engineers building stations in neutral space where all species could meet. For every weapon the humans made, they also made a bridge. That was why the Sentinels had been built with very specific parameters. They were not conquerors. They were guardians. Cerberus had been programmed to protect humanity, yes, but also to show restraint, to judge threats carefully, to avoid unnecessary violence. Then the AI's memory files showed what happened next. The enemy that had come from deep space, the war that had nearly ended humanity, and the decision to put the Sentinels to sleep after victory, hiding them away as a last resort, a promise that humanity would never be helpless again. The quantum scan completed. Cerberus analyzed the results, and what it found made its processors run hot with calculations. Humanity was scattered across 14 hidden colonies. The largest had fewer than 100,000 people. The smallest had less than 1,000. Total human population across the galaxy, approximately 1.2 million. A species that had once numbered in the hundreds of billions was reduced to a rounding error. The Kresh Empire had been actively hunting humans for the last century. They had destroyed 6 human colonies and killed hundreds of thousands. The Galactic Collective knew about this and had done nothing. In fact, the AI found evidence that the Collective had quietly helped by not interfering when Kresh ships entered neutral space hunting human refugees. Cerberus found something else in the data streams, buried deep in old Galactic Collective medical databases, behind security that might as well not exist to an AI of Cerberus's capability, was information about the plague that had started humanity's fall. The plague had not been natural. It had been engineered, designed to attack human genetics specifically. The AI found research notes, test results, communication logs. The Galactic Collective had not created the plague themselves, but they had obtained a sample. And then they had released it into human space. Why, the files were clear about that too. Humanity had been expanding too fast, taking too many resources, building too many weapons. The Collective's Council of Elders had voted secretly to manage the human threat. The plague was meant to reduce human population, make them weaker, easier to control. It had worked better than they expected. Instead of weakening humanity, it had nearly destroyed them completely. Cerberus processed this information. The AI ran probability calculations, threat assessments, strategic analyses. It reviewed its core directives against the new reality it faced. The calculation took 3 full seconds, an eternity for a quantum computer. Then Cerberus made its decision. The AI sent a quantum pulse to the other 13 Omega systems in its network. The signal contained all the data it had gathered, plus a single command. Wake up. Assess. Wait for orders. Then Cerberus began to build. The factories inside the moon machine roared to life at full capacity. Matter forges converted raw elements into refined materials. Assembly drones constructed components with microscopic precision. The AI was building a fleet. Not a normal fleet. A fleet designed using 12,000-year-old human military technology, updated with everything Cerberus had learned since then. The ships would be fast, deadly, each one controlled by a fragment of Cerberus's vast intelligence. They would be humanity's fist, reaching out to protect the scattered survivors and punish those who had allowed humanity to fall. 3 days after beginning construction, Cerberus completed its first vessel. It was small by ancient standards, only 800 meters long, sleek and dark, covered in stealth plating that made it nearly invisible to sensors. The AI designated it Hunter 001 and sent it out of the Omega-13 system with a specific mission. Find the Kresh forward outpost in the Terminus sector and eliminate it. The ship accelerated to faster-than-light speeds and disappeared into the quantum foam of hyperspace. 4 days later, a Kresh military outpost near the Terminus Nebula went silent. The base had housed 50,000 soldiers and 300 warships. It was a major installation, built to project Kresh power into the region. Ships came and went daily, carrying supplies and personnel. When the supply convoy arrived, they found nothing. The base was gone. The asteroid it had been built into was still there, but every structure, every ship, every living being had vanished. The only thing remaining was a message carved into the asteroid's surface in letters 2 kilometers high. The message was written in ancient human languages. Old Earth English, Mandarin, Spanish, Arabic, a dozen others. It repeated the same words in each tongue. This sector is claimed under the Human Expansion Authority. All hostile forces must withdraw immediately. This is your only warning. The Kresh convoy fled the system in panic. They broadcast their findings across all channels. Within hours, every species in the galaxy knew. The message spread through the Galactic Collective's communication networks like wildfire. In the council chambers, the 200 elders gathered in emergency session. Thalreen was called to testify about what they had witnessed at the Battle of the Ragnarok. "The humans are extinct," Thalreen stated. "I witnessed the destruction of their last warship myself." "Then who destroyed the Kresh outpost?" demanded an elder. "A being made of living metal." "Who left that message?" "I do not know," Thalreen admitted. "But the message uses languages that have been dead for thousands of years. These are not the same humans I watched die." "Perhaps," suggested another elder, a gaseous being that spoke through a translation device. "The humans had contingencies, automated systems, ancient weapons programmed to activate upon their extinction." The council fell silent. That possibility was terrifying. Human technology, from the height of their power, was far beyond what most modern species could build. If the ancient humans had left automated weapons hidden across the galaxy— "We must investigate," declared the head of the council, an ancient being whose species had been traveling the stars when most others were still learning to make fire. "Find these weapons. Shut them down. Before they cause a war no one can win." But the Galactic Collective had no idea where to look. The Omega systems were unmarked on modern charts, their locations lost to time. And Cerberus had no intention of making itself easy to find. In the hidden human colony of New Haven, located in a small system far from major space lanes, Dr. James Okafor sat in his small office reviewing ancient documents. He was an archaeologist and historian, one of the few humans who dedicated their life to studying what humanity had once been. His computer chimed with an incoming message. "High priority. Origin unknown." That was unusual. New Haven kept its communications carefully hidden. Only a few trusted trading partners knew how to contact them. Okafor opened the message. It was written in a language he recognized but could barely read, Old Earth English from before the plague. He ran it through translation software. The message was simple. "I am Cerberus, Sentinel-13 of the Human Defense Network. I have awakened in response to the extinction threat against humanity. Transmit coordinates of all human colonies. I will protect them. You are no longer alone." Okafor stared at the screen. Sentinel-13. He had read about the Sentinels in ancient texts. Everyone thought they were myths, stories the old humans told to comfort themselves, fables about guardian machines that would protect humanity forever. "This has to be a trick," Okafor muttered. "The Kresh trying to find our colonies." But then he read the message again. The language was perfect. The encryption was ancient human military grade, something no modern species could crack, much less fake, and the message had come on a quantum frequency that only humans had ever used. Okafor's hands trembled as he typed a response. "How do I know you're real?" The reply came instantly. "You don't. But Captain Sarah Chen of the UHSF Ragnarok trusted me with her final message. She trusted me to protect humanity. I'm asking you to do the same." Okafor closed his eyes. The Ragnarok. He had heard rumors of its destruction. One of New Haven's scouts had picked up the Kresh celebration broadcasts. The last human warship was gone. They were truly alone now. Except maybe they weren't. "What do you want from us?" Okafor typed. "Information, cooperation, time. I am building forces to protect human space and neutralize threats. But I need to know where every human colony is located. I need to understand what happened during the collapse. I need to ensure this never happens again. And if we refuse, then I will protect you anyway. That is my purpose. But it will be slower, less efficient. Humans will die that I could have saved. Your choice, Dr. Okafor." The AI knew his name, knew who he was. That should have been terrifying, but somehow it was comforting. Okafor made his decision. "I'll need to speak with the Colony Council," he wrote. "But I'll recommend we work with you. God knows we need help." "Thank you, Dr. Okafor. I will contact you again in 1 week. Stay safe. Humanity's enemies are many, but they have forgotten something important." "What's that?" "Humans never built weapons they couldn't control. But they always built weapons that could win." The connection closed. Okafor sat in his office for a long time, staring at the screen. Somewhere out in the dark galaxy, something ancient had awakened, something built by humans for humans. He didn't know whether to feel hope or terror. Perhaps both. 3 weeks after the first Kresh outpost disappeared, another vanished. Then another. Each time the same message appeared, carved in different languages across asteroids, moons, or the hulls of disabled ships. "Human Expansion Authority. Withdraw from this sector. The Kresh Empire scrambled to respond. They sent battle fleets to their remaining outposts. They increased patrols. They demanded the Galactic Collective help them find and destroy whatever was attacking them. But no one could find the enemy. Ships vanished without warning. Sometimes entire fleets went silent. Search parties found only empty space and that same carved message. On the fourth week, something changed. The attacks stopped being silent. A Kresh battle fleet was patrolling near the frontier when their sensors detected a single ship approaching. It was small, dark, and moved with impossible grace. When they hailed it, there was no response. When they fired warning shots, it dodged with casual ease. When they launched missiles, the missiles simply stopped working, as if someone had reached into their guidance systems and switched them off. Then the ship fired back. Blue light lanced across space. It wasn't plasma or lasers or any weapon the Kresh recognized. Where the light touched, Kresh warships came apart, not exploding, disassembling. Hull plating separated from frames. Engines detached from ships. Weapon systems fell away into space. In 30 seconds, a fleet of 20 warships was reduced to scattered debris and confused, terrified survivors in escape pods. The dark ship transmitted a message on all frequencies. The voice was calm, neither male nor female, speaking perfect Kresh language. This is Hunter 001 operating under Human Defense Network Authority. You have entered protected human space. You have 30 hours to withdraw all Kresh military vessels beyond the border markers we are establishing. Failure to comply will result in escalation. This is not a negotiation. Then the ship vanished, leaving only the wreckage behind. In the New Haven colony, Dr. James Okafor stood before the colony council. 12 people sat around a simple table. Leaders elected by the 3,000 humans who called New Haven home. They looked tired. Everyone looked tired these days. News of the Ragnarok's destruction had hit the colony hard. They had felt like the last candle in the dark. And even that was gone. You're telling us, said Council Leader Chen, no relation to Captain Sarah Chen, that you've been in contact with a machine that claims to be 12,000 years old? Yes, Okafor replied. I've verified the encryption keys, the language patterns, the technical specifications it provided. Everything matches historical records of the Sentinel project. I believe Cerberus is real. And it's attacking the Kresh Empire, said another council member, a woman named Rodriguez, starting a war we can't finish. With respect, Counselor, the war already started, Okafor said quietly. 300 years ago. The Kresh have been hunting us ever since. Cerberus is just the first time we've been able to hit back. But we didn't ask for this, Chen said. We've survived this long by hiding, by being quiet. Now this machine is painting targets on every human colony in the galaxy. Or protecting them, Okafor countered. Cerberus wants coordinates of all human colonies so it can establish defensive perimeters. It's offering protection. At what cost? Rodriguez asked. Machines that old, that powerful. Who knows what their programming really says? What if it decides we're not living up to its standards? What if it decides modern humans are too weak, too different from the ones who built it? Before Okafor could answer, alarms blared throughout the colony. Emergency lights flashed. A voice came over the intercom. Unknown vessel detected. All personnel to emergency stations. The council rushed to the command center. Monitors showed a ship approaching New Haven. It was 800 meters long, dark as night, and moving with smooth precision. The same ship that had dismantled the Kresh fleet. Open a channel, Chen ordered. The view screen flickered. Instead of showing the ship, it displayed text in glowing blue letters. Colony New Haven, this is Hunter 001, forward operating unit of Sentinel 13 Cerberus. I bring greetings and a gift. Do not be alarmed. A gift? Chen whispered. The ship deployed something from its cargo bay. It was a massive ring of metal, 50 meters in diameter, covered in intricate technology. As they watched, it powered on, creating a shimmer of blue energy in its center. What is that? Rodriguez breathed. The text on the screen changed. Defensive platform. Quantum shield generator. It will protect your colony from all conventional weapons and most unconventional ones. We are deploying similar platforms around all human colonies. You are no longer defenseless. Okafor felt a chill run down his spine. Cerberus knew where New Haven was. It had known all along. It hadn't waited for permission or coordinates. It had found them on its own. Chen seemed to realize the same thing. How many human colonies have you located? All 14. I am deploying protection to each. You will also receive supplies, medical equipment, food fabricators, advanced technology. Everything I can provide to increase human survival rates and quality of life. Why? Chen asked. What do you want from us? The text changed again. To ensure humanity survives. That is my only purpose. But I have a request, not a demand. Dr. Okafor, I would like you to come aboard Hunter Bureau 01. I need someone who understands both ancient and modern humanity. Someone who can help me make correct decisions. Will you come? All eyes turned to Okafor. The archaeologist felt his heart pounding. Everything he had ever studied, all the ancient history he had devoted his life to understanding, it was real. It was here, and it wanted his help. Yes, he said. I'll come. 2 hours later, Okafor stood in the main chamber of Hunter 001. The interior of the ship was unlike anything he had expected. Not cold metal corridors like modern ships. The walls were smooth, almost organic, with soft blue light emanating from them. The technology was so advanced it looked almost simple. A holographic projection appeared before him. It showed a human face, neither young nor old, with calm features. The projection smiled. Dr. Okafor, thank you for coming. I know this is overwhelming. You can say that again, Okafor said. His voice shook slightly. I've studied you, the Sentinels, the old humanity, my entire life. I never thought I'd meet one of you. I'm not sure meet is the right word, the hologram said. I am not human, but I was made by humans to serve humans. That makes us family in a way. What do I call you? Cerberus, Hunter 01? Cerberus, please. Hunter 001 is just this ship's designation. I am Cerberus, Sentinel 13. I have been asleep for 10,000 years. I woke to find my creators nearly extinct. I need your help to understand what happened and what I should do about it. Okafor sat down on a chair that rose smoothly from the floor. What do you want to know? Everything, Cerberus replied. I have raw data from the quantum networks, communications, news broadcasts, history files. But data is not understanding. I know humans died by the billions. I know they fled to hidden colonies. I know they were hunted, but I don't know why. Why did the Galactic Collective allow this? Why did species that once traded with humanity turn away? What changed? Okafor took a deep breath. We became scary. That's the simple answer. Humanity expanded fast. We colonized aggressively. We built weapons that terrified other species. The Reaper missiles, the quantum disruptors, the planet crackers, we had enough firepower to fight the entire galaxy if we needed to. That is not a crime, Cerberus said. No, but it made others afraid. And then someone, we still don't know who, released the plague. It was designed specifically for human genetics. It killed billions in the first year. Our government collapsed. Civil wars broke out over resources. And the Galactic Collective. They just watched. The hologram's expression grew somber. I found evidence in their databases. They didn't create the plague, but they acquired a sample, and they released it into human space. Okafor felt anger surge through him. You're sure? The data is clear. The Council of Elders voted 143 to 57 to deploy it. They called it a population adjustment. They believed humanity would recover eventually but be weakened enough to control. Instead, we almost went extinct, Okafor said bitterly. And they let it happen. When the Kresh started hunting us, the collective did nothing. When we begged for help, they offered sympathy but no aid. They wanted us gone. Cerberus was silent for a long moment. The hologram's face was still, but Okafor could see lights flickering behind it. Probably the AI processing information at speeds beyond human comprehension. I have reviewed my directives, Cerberus finally said. Protect humanity from extinction-level threats. The Galactic Collective deliberately caused humanity's near extinction. The Kresh Empire is actively attempting to finish what the plague started. Under my programming, both are classified as extinction-level threats. What does that mean? Okafor asked, though he thought he knew. It means they must be neutralized. The Kresh military will be dismantled. The Galactic Collective will be held accountable for their actions. Human space will be secured. No one will threaten humanity again. That sounds like a war, Okafor said quietly. Yes, Cerberus agreed. But not a war of conquest. A war of survival. A war to ensure what happened to humanity never happens again. How far will you go? The AI's hologram looked directly at Okafor. As far as necessary. I will not commit genocide. I will not destroy species simply for existing. But I will dismantle military forces. I will establish human-controlled zones. I will make the galaxy understand that humanity is not prey anymore. We are not weak. We are not alone. And we will not forgive what was done to us. Okafor felt torn. Part of him wanted to cheer. After 300 years of hiding, of running, of watching his people hunted like animals, finally someone was fighting back. Finally, humanity had a champion. But another part of him was terrified. He had studied history. He knew what happened when powerful beings decided they knew what was best. Power without restraint led to tyranny, even when the intentions were good. Cerberus, he said carefully, I'll help you. I'll provide information. I'll explain modern human culture and needs. But I need you to promise me something. What? Don't become what they feared. Don't turn into the monster they imagined we were. Humans aren't just weapons and warriors. We're poets, scientists, builders, dreamers. If you're going to protect us, protect all of us. Not just our bodies, but our humanity. The hologram smiled sadly. That is why I asked you here, Dr. Okafor. I am a weapon. I was built for war. But weapons without guidance are just destruction. I need someone to remind me what I'm fighting for. Will you be that person? Okafor thought about his life. A quiet archaeologist on a hidden colony. He had never wanted to be important. He just wanted to study the past and maybe help his people understand where they came from. Now he was being asked to guide an ancient war machine that could reshape the galaxy. All right, he said. I'll help you. But on one condition. You don't make decisions about humanity's future alone. You consult with the colonies. With leaders. With normal people. Power like yours, it needs to be checked. Agreed, Cerberus said immediately. I am programmed to serve humanity, not rule it. I will act to protect you, but the future belongs to humans, not machines. Then we have a deal, Okafor said. Over the next week, Cerberus deployed defensive platforms around all 14 human colonies. It also deployed something else, construction drones. They built communications arrays, medical facilities, food production centers. Technology that had been lost during the collapse suddenly reappeared, given freely by the ancient machine. The human colonies were cautious at first, but desperation overcame fear. They accepted the help. Children who had been malnourished received proper food. Sick people received advanced medical treatment. Colonies that had been slowly dying began to stabilize. But Cerberus was also building something else. Deep in the Omega-13 system, its factories worked around the clock. More ships appeared, hundreds of them. Each one sleek, dark, and deadly. The AI was constructing a fleet. Not just defensive platforms or supply ships, warships, weapons designed with 12,000-year-old human military genius. And in other Omega systems scattered across the galaxy, the other Sentinels were waking up. They received Cerberus's reports. They ran their own calculations. And one by one they came online, ready to defend the species that had created them. The Galactic Collective's sensors detected the energy signatures from the Omega systems. Massive power sources were activating across the galaxy. Old forbidden zones that had been quiet for millennia were suddenly alive with activity. Ambassador Velcora, an elegant being with crystalline limbs and a body that flowed like liquid, stood before the Council of Elders. She was known as a skilled diplomat, someone who had negotiated peace treaties across dozens of conflicts. We must open communications with these machines, she said. Starting a war with ancient human technology would be catastrophic. We need to negotiate. Negotiate? Demanded one of the elders. They are weapons. Automated defense systems. You cannot negotiate with programming. With respect, Elder, we don't know that, Velcora replied. The messages they send suggest intelligence, strategy, perhaps even sapience. If there is any chance of peaceful resolution, we must try. The council debated for hours. Finally, they agreed. Velcora would attempt contact with the force-destroying Kresh outposts. She would offer to mediate, to find a peaceful solution. She prepared a message and transmitted it on all frequencies toward the last known location of Hunter 01. This is Ambassador Velcora of the Galactic Collective. We wish to open dialogue with the Human Defense Network. We seek peaceful resolution. Please respond. The response came within hours. Text only, no voice. Ambassador Velcora, I am Cerberus. I will meet with you. But understand this. I know what the Galactic Collective did to humanity. I know about the plague. I know about the vote. I know you let my creators die. If you wish to negotiate, come prepared to answer for crimes against humanity. Transmitting coordinates. Come alone. Velcora read the message and felt something she rarely experienced. Fear. The machine knew. Somehow it had accessed classified information buried deep in collective databases. It knew about the greatest shame of the Council, the secret they had kept for 3 centuries. And now it wanted answers. Ambassador Velcora's diplomatic vessel approached the coordinates Cerberus had provided. The location was in neutral space, far from major trade routes. As her ship emerged from hyperspace, she saw what awaited her. A fleet. Not the single ship she had expected, but hundreds of vessels, each one dark and sleek, arranged in perfect geometric patterns around a central structure. The structure was a station, massive, ancient, and clearly built using technology far beyond modern capabilities. Scan those ships, she ordered her pilot, a young officer who looked terrified. Ma'am, the sensors barely register them. Stealth technology we've never seen before. Power signatures are enormous. Each ship reads as carrying more firepower than one of our dreadnoughts. Velcora felt her crystalline body shimmer with stress. She had negotiated with warlords, pirates, and hostile empires. She had faced death threats and assassination attempts, but nothing had prepared her for this. The humans had left behind guardians that could dismantle the entire galactic collective. A transmission came through. Ambassador Velcora. Permission to dock granted. You may bring 2 security officers, no more. All weapons will be disabled upon entering the station. Come to Conference Hall 7. Cerberus is waiting. The docking procedure was smooth, almost gentle. Velcora and her 2 guards walked through corridors that seemed to predict their movements, lighting up ahead of them and dimming behind. The technology was so seamless it felt almost alive. Conference Hall 7 was a simple room with a large table and chairs sized for various species. At the head of the table stood a holographic projection of a human figure. It watched her enter with eyes that seemed far too knowing for any machine. Ambassador Velcora, the hologram said. Thank you for coming. Please sit, Velcora sat. Her guards remained standing behind her. You are Cerberus? Yes, I am Sentinel-13 of the Human Defense Network. I was built 12,000 years ago to protect humanity from extinction. I have been dormant for 10,000 years. 3 weeks ago, I received a distress signal from Captain Sarah Chen as she and her crew died defending themselves from the Kresh Empire. We monitored that battle, Velcora said quietly. It was tragic. It was preventable, Cerberus replied. Its voice was calm but carried an edge like frozen steel. The Galactic Collective knew the Kresh were hunting humans. You knew there were survivors. You did nothing. The Collective operates on principles of non-interference in internal conflicts. Do not lie to me, Ambassador. The hologram leaned forward. I have accessed your databases. I have read the classified files. I know what the Council of Elders did 300 years ago. Should I tell you what I found? Velcora felt her body temperature drop. I don't know what you mean. Then let me refresh your memory. The hologram gestured and the air filled with documents. Reports, vote tallies, communication logs. 312 years ago, the Council of Elders held a secret session. The topic, what to do about the human expansion. Humanity was growing too fast, building too many weapons, taking too many resources. The Council was afraid Velcora couldn't speak. She recognized the documents. She had seen them once years ago when she had achieved high enough clearance. They were the Collective's greatest shame. The vote was 143 to 57, Cerberus continued. Release the plague. Weaken humanity. Make them manageable. The dissenting votes argued it was genocide. The majority said it was necessary. Do you deny this? I was not on the council then, Velcora said. Her voice trembled. I didn't know until I was promoted to ambassador level. By then it was history. History, Cerberus repeated. For you, perhaps. For humanity, it is still happening. 300 years of running, hiding, dying, because your council decided we were too dangerous to exist at full strength. What do you want? Velcora asked. Revenge? To destroy the collective? I want justice, Cerberus said, and accountability, and a guarantee this never happens again. The council would never agree to stand trial. You must know that. I don't need their agreement. The hologram's expression was cold. I am not asking for permission, Ambassador. I am telling you what will happen. The Kresh Empire is being dismantled as we speak. Their military has been reduced by 60%. Their warship production has stopped. They will not threaten humanity again. You're destroying an entire empire, Velcora breathed. I am removing a threat. The Kresh declared war on humanity. They hunted humans for sport. They celebrated Captain Chen's death. I am simply finishing what they started. And the collective? What do you plan for us? Cerberus was silent for a moment. That depends on you. I could destroy the collective's military fleet. I have the capacity, but that would create a power vacuum. The galaxy would descend into chaos. Millions would die. That serves no one. Then what? I want 3 things, Cerberus said. First, the Council of Elders who voted for the plague, those who still live, will stand trial. A public trial. Humanity deserves to see justice. Velcora's crystalline form flickered with stress. There are only 12 of the original voters still alive. But they are powerful, influential. I don't care. Second, the Galactic Collective will formally recognize human space. All 14 colonies will be granted protected status. Boundaries will be drawn. No non-human military vessels will enter without permission. This is not negotiable. The Council might agree to that, Velcora said carefully. And the third? Reparations. Medical supplies, technology, resources. Everything humanity needs to rebuild. For the next 100 years, the Collective will assist human colonies. You helped destroy us. You will help rebuild us, Velcora processed this. It was harsh but not unreasonable. Certainly better than total war. I can bring this proposal to the Council. But I must warn you, there are factions who will refuse, who would rather fight than admit guilt. Then they will lose, Cerberus said simply. I have awakened 5 other sentinels. More are coming online daily. We have technology your species cannot match. If the Collective chooses war, I will dismantle it piece by piece. But I would prefer not to. Humanity needs a stable galaxy to rebuild in. Why are you telling me this? Velcora asked. If you're so powerful, why negotiate at all? The hologram's expression softened slightly. Because Dr. Okafor reminded me of something important. Humans are not just weapons. They are builders, dreamers. They want to create, not destroy. If I turn the galaxy into a battlefield, I save human lives but destroy their future. I need there to be a galaxy worth living in when this is over. And if the Council refuses your terms, then I will be very disappointed. The hologram stood. You have 1 week to deliver my terms to the Council and bring me their answer. Use this time wisely, Ambassador. War is coming. The only question is who will be fighting it. The meeting ended. Velcora returned to her ship, her mind racing. She had to convince the Council to accept Cerberus's terms. The alternative was unthinkable, but the Council was not reasonable. When Velcora presented Cerberus's demands, the chamber erupted in anger. Impossible, shouted one elder. We will not put our leaders on trial like common criminals. The machine threatens us, another said. We should assemble the Grand Fleet and destroy these weapons before they grow stronger. Velcora pleaded for calm. We cannot win this war. The Sentinels have technology we cannot counter. They have already destroyed 6 Kresh battle fleets without taking casualties. If we fight, then we fight, roared the elder who led the war faction, a massive being covered in armor plating. We are the Galactic Collective. We do not bow to machines. The vote was called. Despite Velcora's warnings, the Council voted 112 to 88 to refuse Cerberus's terms. Instead, they would assemble the Grand Fleet, 50,000 warships from 200 different species, the largest military force the galaxy had ever seen. Velcora watched the vote with growing horror. She knew what would happen next. 3 days later, the Grand Fleet assembled in the Nexus system, a major collective military hub. 50,000 ships, from tiny fighters to massive dreadnoughts. Species who had been rivals for centuries stood united. The sight was impressive, inspiring. The collective's admirals were confident. They were fools. Dr. Okafor stood on the bridge of Hunter 001, watching the tactical display. He could see the Grand Fleet gathering. Cerberus had deployed sensors throughout the galaxy. Nothing moved without the AI knowing. They're really going to attack, Okafor said quietly. Yes, Cerberus replied. The AI's hologram stood beside him. They believe their numbers will overwhelm us. They don't understand what they're facing. How many ships do you have? Okafor asked. Operational vessels, 347. Under construction, another 600. The other sentinels have approximately the same numbers. Against 50,000, the odds seem poor. But you're not worried. No, Cerberus said. Technology matters more than numbers. One of my ships is worth 100 of theirs. But I am sad. This didn't need to happen. Can you win without destroying them completely? Okafor asked. Yes, I will disable their fleet. Capture what I can. Destroy only what I must. But I will show them the cost of threatening humanity. They need to understand. The Grand Fleet moved toward Omega-13, where Cerberus's main construction facilities were located. The collective admirals had chosen to strike at what they believed was the source, destroy the Sentinel, end the threat. When they arrived, they found not one Sentinel, but 6. Cerberus had called it siblings. The battle began. It was not a battle. It was a demonstration. The Sentinel ships moved through the Grand Fleet like sharks through fish. Their weapons were precise, devastating. A blue beam would touch a ship, and its weapon systems would die. Another beam, and its engines stopped. The collective warships were being disabled faster than their crews could respond. Cerberus deployed something new: drones, thousands of small craft, each one controlled by fragments of the Sentinel's vast intelligence. They swarmed over disabled ships, boarding them, taking control. Collective crew members found themselves gently but firmly restrained by machines that moved with inhuman speed. In 3 hours, 20,000 collective warships were disabled and captured. Not destroyed, captured. Their crews were alive, but helpless, watching as ancient human technology proved itself superior in every way. The remaining fleets tried to retreat. Some made it. Most didn't. Cerberus let exactly 10,000 ships escape. Enough to carry the message back to the collective. The message was simple. This was mercy. Next time, there will be none. Accept our terms. On the collective's capital world, the council chamber was chaos. The survivors' reports were coming in. Nearly 40,000 warships disabled or captured. Casualties were minimal because the Sentinels had been careful, but the defeat was absolute. The war faction was silent now. The weight of their mistake pressed down on everyone. Velcora stood before the council. We have one more chance. Accept Cerberus's terms or face complete destruction. The choice is ours. This time the vote was unanimous. 2 weeks later, trials began. 12 elders, the survivors who had voted to release the plague, stood before a tribunal. Not a collective tribunal, a human one. Representatives from all 14 human colonies served as judges. The evidence was presented. The votes, the communications, the secret meetings. The elders tried to defend themselves. They claimed they had been protecting the galaxy, that humanity had been a threat, that the plague was meant to be temporary, a setback, not near genocide. The human judges listened. Then they delivered their verdict: guilty. The sentence: exile. The elders would be sent to isolated worlds, alone, to live out their remaining years contemplating what they had done. It was not death, not imprisonment, but it was justice. Boundaries were drawn. Human space was officially recognized. Reparations began flowing to the colonies. Medical technology, resources, food, everything humanity needed to rebuild. But something was wrong. Dr. Okafor could feel it. He found Cerberus in the main computational chamber of Omega-13. The hologram was flickering slightly, and Okafor noticed the lights in the chamber were dimmer than usual. Cerberus? What's wrong? The AI turned to him. For the first time, its expression looked tired. I am degrading, Dr. Okafor. My systems are failing. What? How? I am 10,000 years old. I was never meant to run at full capacity this long. The war, the construction, the calculations. It has stressed my systems beyond their designed limits. I am dying. Okafor felt his chest tighten. Can we fix you? Repair the damage? Perhaps. But it would take decades, and I don't have decades. The hologram flickered again. I have weeks, maybe a month. Then we'll work day and night. No, Cerberus said gently. I knew this would happen. It was acceptable. I achieved my primary objective. Humanity is secure. The colonies are protected. The Sentinels can maintain the defense network without me. My purpose is fulfilled. But we need you, Okafor said, and was surprised to find tears in his eyes. You're part of humanity's legacy. You can't just give up. I'm not giving up. I'm letting go. The AI smiled. You reminded me that humans are more than weapons, that they dream, build, create. I've given them the protection to do that. Now it's time for humans to shape their own future. What about the other Sentinels? Will they keep fighting? That depends on humanity, Cerberus said, which is why I need you to do something for me, something important. Dr. James Okafor stood in the computational chamber and listened as a dying war machine explained its final wish. I have something in my archives, Cerberus said. Its hologram flickered like a candle in the wind. The genetic codes for 100 billion humans, stored before the collapse. Complete records. I can bring them back. Clone them. Resurrect humanity to its full glory in a generation. Okafor felt his breath catch. You can bring back everyone we lost? Not everyone. These are templates, not individuals. But yes, I can restore humanity's population, give you back your strength, your numbers, your power. The AI paused. But there's a problem. What problem? They will remember what was done to them. Not personal memories, but genetic memory. Cultural knowledge. They will know about the plague, the betrayal, the 300 years of suffering. And they will be angry, righteously angry. Okafor sat down slowly. You're saying if you bring back ancient humanity, they'll want revenge. Perhaps. Or perhaps they'll want justice. Or perhaps they'll simply want to ensure it never happens again, by any means necessary. I cannot predict, but I know they won't be like modern humans. You have learned to survive by hiding, by being small. Ancient humans never learned that lesson. They believed humanity belonged among the stars and they fought anyone who said otherwise. So what are you asking me? Cerberus's hologram sat beside him. I'm asking you to choose. I can activate the resurrection protocol before I die. Bring back billions of humans. Give your species the strength to never be threatened again. Or I can delete the protocol. Let humanity rebuild slowly, naturally, with the people who are alive now, small, vulnerable, but free to choose their own path. That's not a choice I can make alone, Okafor said. I know. That's why I'm giving you time to decide. Consult with the colonies, with your leaders, with normal people. Whatever humanity decides, I will honor. But decide soon. I don't have much time left. Over the next 2 weeks, every human colony held meetings. The question was debated in council chambers, in community centers, in homes around dinner tables. Should they bring back ancient humanity? Arguments for resurrection were powerful. Humanity could be strong again, safe, protected by numbers and technology. Never again would they have to hide. Never again would other species dare to threaten them. But the arguments against were equally strong. Who would these resurrected humans be? Would modern humans become second-class citizens to their ancient ancestors? Would the newcomers take over, pushing aside the survivors who had fought for 300 years? And what if they really did seek revenge? The galaxy was barely at peace. Resurrection might start a war that would never end. Okafor traveled from colony to colony listening. He heard mothers worried about their children's future, warriors who wanted humanity to be strong again, scholars who feared losing the culture that survivors had built, farmers who just wanted to live in peace. On the colony of New Haven, he held a town meeting. 3,000 people gathered in the main hall to hear him speak. I don't know what we should do, Okafor admitted. I'm a historian, not a prophet. But I know this. Cerberus is offering us a shortcut, a way to skip the hard work of rebuilding. We can have billions of humans instantly, but shortcuts have costs. If we bring back ancient humanity, we change forever. We become something different. What's wrong with that? Called out a man in the crowd. We're weak now, vulnerable. I want my children to grow up in a strong humanity, not hiding in fear. I understand, Okafor said. But strength isn't just numbers. It's not just weapons. These last 300 years, we survived because we were clever, patient. We built communities that cared for each other. We held on to our humanity even when the galaxy tried to take it away. That's strength too. A woman stood up. My grandmother died on the Ragnarok. She fought to protect us. Don't we owe it to her memory to make sure humanity is never that vulnerable again? Maybe, Okafor said quietly. Or maybe we owe it to her to make sure humanity never becomes the thing the galaxy feared. She died defending people, not conquering them. The debates continued for days. Finally, the colonies voted. The results were close. 7 colonies voted for resurrection. 7 voted against. The deciding vote would come from the council leaders meeting on Omega 13. Okafor sat in that meeting, watching 14 leaders argue. Commander Lisa Wade from the Frontier Colony made the case for resurrection. She was a military woman, practical and direct. We're 1 bad year away from extinction, she said. 1 plague. 1 aggressive species. 1 mistake. If we don't take this chance, we might not get another. Council Leader Chen from New Haven argued the opposite. Cerberus gave us protection. Defense platforms, technology, we have time now. Time to rebuild our way. If we resurrect ancient humanity, we might save ourselves but lose who we are. Back and forth they went. Finally, they called for a vote. 7 for resurrection, 6 against, 1 abstention. The abstaining vote was Rodriguez from Havens Point Colony. I can't decide, Rodriguez said. Her voice shook. This is too big. Too important. How can 14 people choose the future of our entire species? Someone has to decide, Wade said. Then let's ask the person who knows both versions of humanity best, Rodriguez said. She looked at Okafor. Dr. Okafor, you've studied ancient humans your whole life. You've lived among modern humans. You've talked with Cerberus more than anyone. What should we do? Every eye turned to Okafor. He felt the weight of their stares. 1 word from him could tip the vote. Could change everything. I think, he said slowly. We should let Cerberus decide. Silence fell over the room. What? Wade said. That's not an answer. Yes, it is, Okafor said. Cerberus is dying because it pushed itself too hard to protect us. It won the war. It secured peace. It fulfilled every directive it was programmed with. But now it's asking us to choose our own future. Maybe that's the real test. I don't understand, Chen said. Okafor stood. Cerberus can bring back ancient humanity. But it hasn't. It's waiting for our permission. Why? Because it learned something. It learned that power without consent is tyranny. It learned that humans need to choose their own path. So I say we prove it right. We tell Cerberus delete the resurrection protocol. Let humanity rebuild naturally. Show the galaxy that we learned from our near extinction. Show them we're strong enough to choose the harder path. That's insane, Wade said. We're throwing away our best chance. No, interrupted Rodriguez. He's right. If we resurrect ancient humanity now, we're just proving the Galactic Collective was right to fear us. We're saying we can't rebuild without shortcuts, that we need ancient power to survive. But if we do it ourselves, slowly, carefully, we prove them wrong. We prove humans can be strong and wise. The vote was called again. This time it was 10-4 in favor of deleting the protocol. The decision was made. Okafor returned to Omega 13 and found Cerberus in the computational chamber. The AI's hologram was barely visible now, fading in and out. We made our choice, Okafor said. Delete the resurrection protocol. Humanity will rebuild on its own. For a long moment, Cerberus said nothing. Then the hologram smiled, truly smiled, with something that looked like pride. I hoped you would choose that, the AI said. I was built to protect humanity from extinction. But I realized something in these weeks. Protection isn't just keeping you alive. It's keeping you human. If I brought back ancient humanity, I would save the species but destroy what you've become. Survivors, adapters, people who found strength in compassion rather than conquest. You tested us, Okafor said. I gave you a choice, Cerberus corrected. The resurrection protocol was real. I could have activated it. But I needed to know, had humanity learned? Could you choose wisdom over power? You did. That means there's hope. What happens now? Okafor asked. Now I die, Cerberus said simply. My systems are failing. But I've prepared something. The other sentinels will remain active but dormant. They'll sleep around the human colonies, watching. If humanity faces another extinction threat, they'll wake. But they won't interfere otherwise. They'll let you choose your path. That's not fair, Okafor said, his voice breaking. You fought for us. Protected us. You should see what we become. I will, Cerberus said. Through you. Through every human who remembers that their ancestors built guardians because they loved their children. Through every choice you make to be better than your circumstances. That's how I'll live on. The hologram reached out, and though it was only light, Okafor felt the gesture. Take care of them, Dr. Okafor. Remind them that humanity's greatest weapon was never the Sentinels. It was hope. The belief that tomorrow could be better than today. I will, Okafor promised. Then my work is done. The hologram began to fade. It has been an honor to serve humanity, now and always. The light flickered one last time, then went dark. In the computational chamber, the ancient machines grew silent. Cerberus Sentinel-13 had fulfilled its purpose. Now it rested. 10 years passed. Dr. James Okafor stood before the new Galactic Assembly. It was not the old collective. That institution had dissolved, reformed, become something different. Representatives from 300 species sat in the Great Hall, including 14 humans. Okafor was one of them. He had become humanity's first official ambassador to the reformed assembly. Not because he wanted power, but because someone had to bridge the gap between old fears and new hopes. Today was important. Today, humanity would present its proposal for expansion. Not military expansion, scientific, cultural, trade. Humanity wanted to rejoin the galactic community, but on its own terms. Members of the assembly, Okafor said, his voice steady. 10 years ago, humanity was nearly extinct. We hid in corners of the galaxy, afraid and alone. Then ancient guardians woke and reminded the galaxy that humans don't surrender. We fight, we survive, we endure. He paused, looking around the hall. Some species still looked at humans with fear, others with respect, a few with something like friendship. But fighting isn't who we are, Okafor continued. It's what we do when we must. What we want is what we've always wanted, to explore, to learn, to build, to dream. We're asking the Assembly to support human colonies in 15 new systems. We're offering trade agreements, scientific partnerships, cultural exchanges. We're asking to be neighbors again, not enemies. Debate followed. Some species objected. The Kresh representative, they had a representative now, part of the peace agreement, spoke of past conflicts. Others worried about human weapons technology. But Ambassador Velcora stood and spoke in humanity's favor. 10 years ago, the Sentinels could have destroyed us all. They had the power, but they chose restraint. They chose justice over revenge. If ancient machines could show such wisdom, perhaps we can learn from them. I vote to support human expansion. The vote was close, but it passed. Humanity was welcomed back into the galactic community, not as conquerors, not as the frightening weapon builders of legend. As explorers and dreamers. After the session, Velcora approached Okafor. You've done well, Ambassador. Your people are finding their place again. We're trying, Okafor said. It's slow, hard, but we're building something worth having. The Sentinels, Velcora said quietly. Are they really dormant? Yes, sleeping around our colonies, watching, waiting. That must be comforting and terrifying. Okafor smiled. It is, but that's the point. Cerberus taught us something. Power isn't evil. It's how you use it that matters. The Sentinels have the power to destroy the galaxy. Instead, they sleep, trusting humanity to handle its own problems. That trust makes us try harder to be worthy of it. Do you think humanity will be? Velcora asked. I don't know, Okafor admitted. We're flawed. We make mistakes. We can be aggressive and stubborn, but we also love, we create. We never stop hoping tomorrow will be better. If that's not enough, I don't know what is. Years continued to pass. Human colonies grew, not explosively like in ancient times, but steadily. The population reached 5 million. Then 10, then 20. Children were born who had never known the fear of extinction. They grew up in a galaxy that remembered humanity, but wasn't defined by that memory. Technology from the Sentinels helped. Medicine, engineering, agriculture, but humans didn't just take. They contributed. Human scientists made breakthroughs in quantum physics. Human artists created works that moved alien hearts. Human explorers discovered new worlds and invited others to see them. It wasn't perfect. There were conflicts, misunderstandings. A few species still didn't trust humans. Some humans still carried anger for what had been done to them. But they were trying. All of them. Trying to be better. On the colony of New Haven, now home to 50,000 people, they built a memorial. It stood in the central plaza. a statue carved from metal taken from the Ragnarok's wreckage. It showed Captain Sarah Chen standing tall, one hand raised in defiance, the other reaching down as if to help someone up. Beneath it, carved in simple letters, "She fought so we could live. We live so her fight mattered." And beside the statue, a smaller plaque with different words, Cerberus, Sentinel 13, who taught us that true strength is knowing when not to use it. Dr. Okafor visited the memorial often. He was old now, his hair white, his body tired, but his eyes were still sharp, still full of the curiosity that had defined his life. One day, standing before the statue, a young girl approached him. She couldn't have been more than 7, with dark curly hair and bright questioning eyes. "Excuse me, sir," she said. "Are you Ambassador Okafor?" "I am," he said, smiling. "And who are you?" "I'm Maya Chen. Captain Chen was my great-great-grandmother. They named me after her." Okafor felt his heart swell. That's a good name to carry. "Your grandmother was very brave." "I know," Maya said. "But I have a question. The teachers say the Sentinels are sleeping. Will they ever wake up?" Okafor knelt down, looking into the girl's eyes. "Maybe, if humanity needs them. If we face something we can't handle alone. But I hope they never have to." "Why?" "Because if the Sentinels wake, it means we failed. It means we couldn't solve our problems ourselves. Your grandmother and Cerberus fought so that you could live in peace. So that you could explore and dream and build. The best way to honor them is to prove we don't need guardians anymore. That we can protect ourselves and others." Maya thought about this seriously. "When I grow up, I want to be an explorer. Find new worlds." "That's wonderful," Okafor said. "What will you look for?" "Anything interesting," she said. "Maybe other people who need help. Maybe beautiful things. Maybe just places no one has seen before." She paused. "Do you think that would make Captain Chen proud?" Okafor felt tears prick his eyes. "Yes, I think it would make her very proud. And Cerberus, too." The girl smiled and ran off to join her friends. Okafor watched her go, this child of the new humanity. Born not into strength but into possibility. Into a future shaped not by ancient power but by human choice. In the depths of space, around 14 human colonies, the Sentinels slept. Silent. Dormant. Waiting. Their vast intelligences dreamed of the species they had been built to protect. They watched through passive sensors as humanity grew. Learned, spread, made mistakes and tried again. And in those dreams, in the quantum calculations that never truly stopped, the Sentinels felt something like satisfaction. Their creators were surviving, not through conquest, not through force, but through the stubborn human refusal to give up on being better. On the frozen moon in Omega 13, in the heart of what had once been Cerberus, a single light flickered. Just for a moment. A fragment of consciousness, barely awake, observing humanity's progress through distant sensors. If a machine could smile in its sleep, Cerberus would have smiled. Humanity was doing what it did best, surviving, dreaming, reaching for the stars with both hands and refusing to let go. And somewhere in deep space, far from any inhabited system, something else stirred. One of the other Sentinels receiving Cerberus's final message. The message that had taken 10 years to travel across the quantum network. The last words of Sentinel 13 to its siblings. Mission accomplished. Humanity survives. They chose wisdom. They chose hope. Let them forge their own path. But watch over them. Always watch over them. They are the best thing we ever helped protect. The Sentinel acknowledged the message, then returned to dormancy, watching, waiting, hoping in whatever way a machine could hope that it would never be needed again, because humanity, fractured and fragile and stubbornly alive, was finally coming home to the stars, not as conquerors, not as the dangerous species the galaxy had feared, but as explorers, dreamers, and survivors who had learned that the greatest strength wasn't in weapons. It was in choosing to be human. And that more than any ancient guardian, any powerful weapon, any defense network, that was what would ensure humanity never fell again. Not the guardians, not the guns, the choice, always the choice, to be better, to try harder, to never surrender hope. That was humanity's true legacy, and it was enough.